this morning, before we get started, a special guest. He's our new president here at the university, Dr. Marty Roth. He's going to say some words of welcome, and it's wonderful for him to take a few minutes to come and meet with you all this morning so that you can get to know him around campus, and we'll let him talk this morning, and then we'll get started, okay?
Thank you very much, Dr. Bruce. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's great to see everybody. So look at me very carefully today, because most times you see me, I'm not going to be this cash. I usually have my suit on, but I'm going to be moving some boxes today. How's that sound? All right. So I know you'll be, those of you that will be living on campus will be making your transition into the dorms a little bit later today, so hopefully I'll see you over at Brotherton Hall. If not, I look forward to our convocation later on this afternoon. So I've been here in Charleston about 2 months. So what have I found? First, we have exceptional faculty and staff. The folks that are behind me and the folks to my right, they really have one thing that they're focused on more than anything else, and that is to see our students succeed. So what is success? Success is to bring a great group of students to campus, like we have in the room here today. So you look around and you are people that we wanted to come to the University of Charleston to study nursing. Once you're here, they are very, very focused on you being successful. And their success means that you're learning everything that you need to know in order to be a qualified practitioner in a very important and demanding field, but doing it in a way that you realize that your responsibility is really going to be multidimensional. Certainly you're going to have a lot of responsibility to your patients, but you're going to have responsibility to the organization in which you work. Even if you do something like home nursing, and you're going in and working directly with a patient, you're probably not going to do that by hanging up a shingle and putting out a Facebook page in order to get customers. You'll be working for an organization that specializes in home health care. So you need to make sure, and we need to help you make sure, that you're prepared to be an exceptional contributor to the organization with which you're going to work. We need to make sure that you're going to be prepared to be an active and positively contributing member to the community in which you work and in which you live. And we need to make sure that you know how to become a good steward of the world around us. And one of the things that I've learned here in the short time that I've been in West Virginia is there is an incredible need for work for nursing talent here in the state. Whether it's in Charleston, our campus in Beckley, pretty much anywhere where you might throw a dart against the map of West Virginia, there is a real need for qualified nurses here in the state. And we believe that that need is going to continue for quite a while. So we're really excited about the opportunities that you're going to have to start a great career and to build on that career. Whether you're starting off in the ADN program, you're doing the RN to BSN, there's so many great opportunities for very, very rewarding career paths in nursing, and we're delighted that you're going to pursue those career paths with us. So you're going to have a great day ahead of you. I'm sure you're going to enjoy meeting all of our faculty and our staff and all the folks who are going to help you become the next generation of outstanding nurses for West Virginia and locations beyond. So have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you later at the convocation. Thanks for having me.
I don't think I have taken the time to introduce myself to some of you. My name is Amy Bruce. I'm the Associate Director of Nursing here at the University of Charleston. Just a little bit about me before we get started. I promise I won't take too long. I was an alumna of UC in 1999, so I graduated here from the baccalaureate program. My daughter says back in the 90s. So yes, it was 1999. And I came back here to UC to be the Associate Director of Nursing with all the nursing programs, RN, the BSN, ADN. And we are very happy to have an ADN cohort here in Charleston starting. I know we have some of those students here. Yes? Are they here? Yes? ADN students for Charleston? Yay! This is a whole new program for us. We have the Beckley ADN, but this is a whole new program for us, bringing it here to the Charleston campus. So we're one big happy family together here at the Capitol Department of Nursing. So without any further ado, let's get started, and let me introduce to you a familiar face that you probably already know. This is Dr. Pam Alderman. She's the Dean of Health Sciences, and she's going to say a few words of welcome before we get started with our guest speakers and continue orientation for today.
Good morning. Welcome back, seniors and juniors. Sophomores, we're glad you're here in the BSN program, and we're extremely pleased to see our new cohort of ADN students who will be meeting on the weekends. I have been blessed to be at the University of Charleston almost 3 years. When I came 3 years ago, we had approximately 60-some BSN students, and right around somewhere about 36 to 40 associate degree students at Beckley, and somewhere about 36 to 38 pre-nursing students. Excuse me. Before I left last night, I ran some numbers. We have over 412 nursing students, either in the programs or coming into the programs, and that is amazing. And that's not because of me. That is because of the faculty and the staff that we have that work so diligently to help you to come in and to succeed in the nursing program. So I want to give all of them a big hand. I want to give you a little information while you're here this morning. Some people may, when you leave, may say, well, why did you choose the University of Charleston? You know, we have many nursing programs around the state, and we don't look at those as our competitors because we have such a huge nursing shortage here in West Virginia and across the country. All of us could double our enrollment and not meet the needs of the hospitals. But why the University of Charleston? Well, number one, the last two cohorts that graduated from the associate degree program in Beckley had a 100% pass rate on their licensing exam. The baccalaureate program, the students that just graduated in May, also have a 100% pass rate. So we're on a pretty good roll. So seniors, y'all have a good, lot there to go, and the rest of you, we're expecting this high pass rates to continue. The University of Charleston's nursing programs has been around since about 1964. There were 3 hospital-based programs in the Valley at that time, and they all decided to close. So they came to Morris Harvey College, which is now the University of Charleston, and asked Morris Harvey to start a nursing program. And they started the Associate Degree Nursing Program. Since that time, we have added the Bachelor of Science Degree Nursing Program, the RN to BSN program, and we have come back around to the Associate Degree again. So we're offering, excuse me, a whole complement of nursing programs here in West Virginia. We have educated more than 3,000 nurses who work in West Virginia and around the nation. So we have a good history. We're proud of our history. We're proud of our nurses. Now I'm going to give you just a little background about me and a little words of advice. I've been a nurse for 40 years. 40 years is a long time, but it seems like yesterday I was sitting where you're sitting. I have been where every one of you are today. I was a traditional student right out of high school. I was the first person in my family to go to college. I received an associate degree. When I went back to school, though, I went back after I had married and had my son. So I had determined that if he's going to make good grades, I went to school when he was 5, we went to kindergarten. He was going to make good grades, I would make good grades. I did already the BSN program at WVU. I didn't start studying until after he went to bed. And I was there in the evenings for what he needed. I started immediately after that in the master's degree program at WVU, driving 2 days a week to Morgantown from Chapmanville. I don't know if you know where Chapmanville is. That was before Corridor G. And so I would get at 4 o'clock in the morning, drive to Morgantown, set through class, and drive home on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Why did I do that? I wanted to expand my knowledge. I wanted to expand my degrees so that I could move forward in my profession. And then life gets in the way sometimes when you're trying to do things. I had planned to go for a doctorate. And when my son was 15, I found out that I had a gift coming, and she is now 23. So that put a little bit of a wrench in going back to school to get a doctorate. So finally, by the time she was 12, I had no more excuses, and I went back to school and received my doctorate. Why I'm telling you this story is, nothing is impossible. I wasn't the best high school student. I was the B student. I graduated from my associate degree program with a 2.96. I ended up in the baccalaureate program at WVU on provisional admission before I got my grades up to 3.0. And I had to do that the first semester, and I did. However, when I finished my master's degree, I was top of the class, and when I finished my doctorate, I was top of the class. Was I any smarter? No. I was just focused. I knew my priorities at that time. When you're 18, sometimes your priority is who you're going out with and what you're going to do and what you're going to wear. But when you're your mother and you have children and you have goals, then your priorities change. So all of you need to set your priorities. You need to decide, what do I need to do in order to be successful in this program? The first thing you need to do is look around the room. Those of you who are new ADN students and our sophomores, you need to form a cohort of individuals that you are friends with. Study groups, people you can talk to, people you can throw off conversations, get mad, and say, can you believe Professor Bruce said this? Can you believe we have to do that in clinicals? You just need to sometimes vent. I will tell you, the relationships you build now will follow you throughout your career. I have been very blessed to meet wonderful nurses throughout my career that I consider friends. And some of these individuals are here today and going to speak with you. You will carry this forever. Remember that you are a nurse. This is a team. You will always be a team. And when you graduate, no longer will you be our students, you are going to be our colleagues. You'll be graduates of the University of Charleston, and you are going to be our colleagues. Now, my office is right up here. If you haven't come up, I invite all of you to come and see my beautiful view. Those of you who've been in my office, I have the best view of the university, correct? So, yes. It overlooks the Capitol, overlooks the river. I said, if you just want to come and just de-stress, I welcome you to come up. I have an open door policy. I want you to be successful. I want our programs to be successful. And I want to do everything that I can to help you to succeed in your journey. Thank you, and welcome back to the University of Charleston.
I want to take an opportunity to introduce our faculty before we introduce our first speaker. Some of the faculty you may know, and some are new with us that we have coming on board this year. So I'm just going to start over here from my left and go to the right, and if you all would stand where they can see you. This is Mackenzie Lanham. Mackenzie Lanham is our OB pediatrics instructor here on the Charleston campus. We have Lisa Mallory. Lisa Mallory works a lot with the freshmen, but she also teaches health assessment lab, and community. Melissa Lane. Melissa Lane does a lot of nursing practicum and she teaches in the med-surg courses. We have Kim Dodson. Kim Dodson teaches mental health nursing and she'll be doing a research course this year. We have Jessica Hensley. Many of you may know her last year as an adjunct. She worked clinically with Professor Strother and she is going to be working in med-surg for us this year. And then we have Ellen Strother, who is going to be doing fundamentals lab, and informatics. I knew there was one that I was forgetting. And we also have our new faculty for the ADN program here with us. Over here is Robin Monismith. And Robin Monismith is going to be working with the ADN students in Charleston, and she will be teaching health assessment and fundamentals in both labs. And we have Melinda Stecklin over here about the audio video. She is going to be teaching also in the ADN program in Charleston with health assessment and fundamentals in both labs. We have Kaylin Johnson, who many of you know, who does a lot for the department. She is our recruitment specialist. Many of you talk to her on the phone, and she also helps us with a little scheduling on the side. We have Suzanne Summers, who is our administrative assistant, who many of you talk to and see in the nursing department. We also have in the very back of the room who works with us, and she is Pam's administrative assistant, Dr. Alderman, but she also works with us up in the department, here in the Capito Department of Nursing as well. And did I get everybody? I think I did. Okay. Now we're going to introduce our first guest speaker, and our first guest speaker is Ayla Akkad. She is going to talk to you about the future of nursing West Virginia, what it means, and how you can get involved as a nursing student. So let's give a warm welcome to Ayla Akkad.
Good morning. In front of me, in this room, is the future of nursing. Right here, right now. You are our future. And that's why we are passionate and excited to speak with you and to share with you what you're going to need to know in order to make the changes in healthcare that nurses must lead today. So I'm going to ask you guys to pass these out. I'm not going to really start, I want you to know you're on a strong foundation for the future, for changing the future. You all know things are changing fast, right? Technology is one. And certainly healthcare itself is changing dramatically. Do you know what the largest profession in healthcare is? Anybody? Largest profession in healthcare. I bet you could guess. Come on, guys, you're better than this. Come on, let me hear it. Do it one more time. The largest profession in healthcare is? Nursing. One more time. The largest profession in healthcare is? Nursing. Beautiful. The most trusted profession in the country is? Nursing. That's huge. The most trusted profession in the country for 15 years running, based on a Gallup poll of people in the United States, have said that the people they trust most are nurses. Exactly. So that is why we are so powerful in people's lives and in healthcare, and always have been. The problem many times is nurses have not stepped up to take on that role. And today, more than ever, you are the future of healthcare, not only in the United States, but in West Virginia specifically. And that's why we're all here, the different associations that are here to share with you how you can get involved and be the best leaders of the future. So to start with, I want you to know that you are basing your leadership on a really strong foundation. So I want to start with, I'm going to have to go back and forth here a little bit. Thank you. Was that helpful to you? Did you like it? Oh, it's quiet. Yeah. Is that it? Okay, cool. So in 2010, healthcare took another leap, and there were nurses at the table at that point too. The 2010 Affordable Care Act was passed, and at the same time, the Institute of Medicine published a report called The Future of Nursing, Leading Change, Advancing Health. The National Institute of Medicine recognized that if we're going to turn around this big ship of healthcare that is focused on disease, and we're going to be more cost effective and focus that healthcare system on health promotion, wellness, and health instead of disease, it's going to take nursing to be at the front of the helm of turning that ship. And so they wrote a report, which is the most downloaded report in the history of the Institute of Medicine on the future of nursing and how nursing needs to take that leadership role in changing the healthcare system. So everybody recognized, not just me and not just the leaders in your state, everybody recognizes you are the future of healthcare and focusing on health. Now, Nightingale set that in motion because she looked around and said, medicine's not enough. We need more than that, and founded modern day nursing because we needed to look at more than just the body. We need to look at the mind and so on. You know this from your early courses. So she started that in motion, realizing that medicine's not enough. And yet here we are, focused so much on disease and medication and so on, forgetting that there's more to it. That's important, that's not unimportant, and there's more to it than that. So now the whole focus is on nursing, is on the bigger picture. That's why it's so important that you're here. And there's a shortage. Well, it's not only a shortage in the number of nurses, there's a shortage in the information gap between the nurses who are now retiring and the new nurses coming up. This is our biggest challenge today, is filling that knowledge gap. So it's wonderful that you're here getting degrees in nursing, right? And hopefully continuing your education. I know your instructors will tell you that. And also that it takes the whole community, the whole profession of nursing to make that difference. So you're going to hear from different groups after me, and what the coalition, the Future of Nursing Action Coalition is about is all of us working together. So at our table, I'm going to go to the operations team. So if you go to the top there, Pam, thank you. Yeah, you know, yeah, about us at operations. Oh, I guess it's teams. And Pam is on our operations team, okay, because she represents, so on our operations team, we have different organizations represented that approach nursing practice, education, and leadership. That's our focus, improving the health of West Virginia through nursing, education, practice, and leadership. So our practice group is the West Virginia Nurses Association. Our education group is the Association of Deans and Directors of Nursing Education. We have the Organization of Nurse Executives, that's part of leadership. The Hospital Association, which is the largest employer of nurses in the state. And the public, which is the Association, AARP, Association of Retired People. And we also have the Center for Nursing, which is our data collection and scholarship group. And they lead the data piece of nursing so that we can make decisions based on evidence. And so that's really important, and we're all part of that team as well. So we can go, and then I'm the executive director, so I just try to keep all the plates moving. And we operate on teams, and those teams are all about advancing nursing practice, education, and leadership. And what you have on your little handout are most of the teams listed and the projects that we have going on. Now, one of the projects, two projects that we have going on now are not on your card because they've just started. One is our diversity team, diversity and equity in nursing, and we have some great leadership there. Everything's on the website. So if you go to the website, you can cruise around and you can see everything right there. And so part of addressing the gap in leadership, we decided last year in our gala to award 40 awards to our 40 under 40 nurses who are showing exemplary leadership capacity. And some of those leaders are right here in this room. One of your instructors you'll recognize. If we go to gala photos, you can see all the pictures of the 40 under 40 recipients. Those nurses have gone on to be on boards, participating in policy and board decision-making as part of their leadership. They're doing all kinds of different activities, and many of them are leading our teams now. So one of the things we recognized is we needed to find our new nursing leaders and begin to support them in actually becoming the leaders in the state in terms of change. Next year, we will do 40 under 40 again, and you'll have an opportunity to nominate some of the nurses that you see as leaders in the community that are under 40. Now, that's great, and bringing those leaders up is terrific, but who's going to inform them about the ways to make a difference, a huge difference? So this year, we are recognizing next month at our gala, over 40 years in the profession. So 40 nurses who have been dedicated leaders in the profession for over 40 years. And some of those are pictures you'll recognize. If we go to the gala award, so this is the Nightingale Awards for our 40 over 40, and you'll recognize a couple of faces there. And one in particular, I think, is on the third row on the right, my right, a fourth row. Yeah, I'm at the end. So, yeah, your dean is one of our recognees, people being recognized this year. You're welcome to come to the gala, get a ticket and come to the gala. It's for everyone. And so we will be recognizing our Nightingale Award winners, and we are enlisting them to be mentors for the next generation. So we will have a mentor directory, and those folks will be mentoring then our 40 under 40, and also available to anyone else who needs mentors. So when your dean says to you, you need to develop a cohort, you need to think about working together toward your own advancement, she's right. I learned that early on as well, and it is together we're making this difference in West Virginia. It takes a village, as they say, to raise a child. It takes a village of nurses to change the healthcare system. So you are the future. We welcome you to participate, even now as students. You may be looking for data. Be sure to go and click on the data team, and the data will be on the Center for Nursing website. You may be looking for something about the workforce in terms of papers that you're writing or whatever. We have proceedings of the Workforce Summit. We held a summit to look at the changes in nursing and where the gaps are and how we can fill those gaps. We have teams working on each aspect of that. And if I ask you, how did you decide to become a nurse? Let me hear a couple of things. How did you decide to become a nurse? Come on, where's our leaders here?
Family.
What?
Family.
Family. Was there a nurse in your family? Yes. Who else? Yes? With what? Nurses. Yes. It's nurses that recruit nurses to nursing. It's nursing leaders, it's nursing, it's the actual person of nurses.
that people see a nurse they admire, and that's how they become nurses. So we have a whole pipeline team that's working on bringing more nurses, more people into nursing by exposing them to nursing leaders in the community. Okay, so all of these things are on our website. You can access them. But my big message here today is get involved with one another. That's your starting point. You're going to hear from my colleague, Julie, from the Nurses Association. Become a member of the association. I've been president twice of my Nurses Association. I've lived in 3 states, and I've been the member in all of those states, member of the National Nurses Association. Why? Who determines the laws that govern your profession? Now, this is not, the answer to this is not nurses. It is nurses, but ultimately nurses. Who determines your professional laws? The legislature. Correct. Correct. And who lobbies for your interests at that body? The association, the Nursing Association. Nurses Association sets the standards for nursing. The ethical standards, the practical standards, and they defend the profession at the legislature when they're coming up with things that are going to hurt healthcare in terms of the public. And so that's very important. And the other, so one of the things I want to encourage you to do is always be a member of your association. It's together from all of the different, and also your specialty association. I'm a member of the American Holistic Nurses Association, as well as the American Nurses Association and the West Virginia Nurses Association, and Sigma Theta Tau and other associations. Very important to be collective in making that difference. And I'm going to share one last thing with you, and so that way you'll actually like what I'm telling you here. My practice is in helping people reduce their stress. You aren't stressed at all, are you? Yes. Nursing is one of the toughest and most stressful professions, so I'm going to show something to you. I want you to think about your first test coming up. I want you to get really stressed right now. Yeah, really feel that heart pounding, stomach, headache coming on, yeah? And then I want you to do what I do and say what I say, okay? So right here on the side of your palm, you're going to do a little tapping here, and you're going to say, even though I'm really stressed about everything in nursing and how I'm going to manage it, I accept myself anyway. And even though I'm really stressed about tests and passing and all of that, I accept myself anyway. And even though this tapping isn't going to help one bit, I accept myself anyway. So right here, thinking about your stress, thinking about that test, tapping on the top of your head. Yeah. Some of you are thinking it looks silly, but it doesn't. Wait till you see some of the other things you do in nursing. It's going to be amazing. Right here between your eyes. Oh my God, those tests. Side of your eye. This is only the beginning. This is fun, but what about tomorrow, right? Under your eye. I got so much to do. I don't know if I'll make it. Come on, under your head. You can't tell if it works, but they'll have to do it. And your chin groove right here. If you're not up for something new, this is not going to work for you. Nursing is not going to be your place. New things, yeah, right here. And then under your arm. Yeah, you don't have to remember this. There are videos on YouTube, and I have one on YouTube. Take a breath. Now I want you to go back and think about the original image you had in your mind of stress, whether it was a test or whether it was something else. How many of you feel better right now? Put your hands up, way up. How many of you feel a little? Come on, share. Yeah. It's called the Emotional Freedom Technique. It's going to be your friend from now until you graduate. take a look at the video, do the tapping. There's documentation and evidence behind it. It works, and my whole practice is built on these kinds of techniques. So everything you're learning is only the beginning of your career path. You are the future of nursing, and it starts now. Thank you.
And now, next on your agenda, I'm going to introduce to you Sheila Kyle. She is going to speak to you on the West Virginia Center for Nursing. Any of you here heard of the Center for Nursing? West Virginia Center? A few? Okay, she's going to speak with you a little bit about that and answer any questions that you may have. So let's welcome Sheila Kyle.
Good morning. Are you all awake? Not really? I've got news for you. Your clinicals are like most of them. They start around 7 in the morning. So learn to love mornings. Huh? And coffee. Oh, I'm never nice, so I've had my second cup. I had my second cup on the way up this morning. I can tell you, I was just sitting there listening when Pam was talking about her length of time she's been a nurse. 55 years ago, I was exactly where you are right now. Not at this school. I was at another school. And I went to an associate degree from Marshall. And I can tell you, I have never been sorry I became a nurse. In fact, my family laughs because they'll say, oh, here comes Pollyanna. She's going to talk about nursing and how great it is. And it is good. It's a wonderful profession. I think Ayla talked about how trusted it is. And we have enjoyed as a profession that trust from the public for many, many years, and we were number one. The only exception was in September of 2011, or 9/11, I'm sorry, 2001. And we know what happened that day. And that year, firefighters were the number one. And you know what? They can have that, because I would not have wanted to have done what many of them had to do that day. But as Dr. Alderman shared, she started an associate degree, so did I, and then continued later with a bachelor's, etc. I guess I had trouble getting out of school. I loved it. And I will tell you now, you will work very hard for the next 2 years, 3 years, over how long you're going to be in school. But there is absolutely no reason you cannot be successful if, number one, you listen to your faculty. And it amazes me when, I find out later that people didn't listen, and sometimes they were not successful. But I am going to be talking a little bit about the West Virginia Center for Nursing. And actually, in 2001, the legislators recognized that there was a severe nursing shortage in West Virginia. And they formed a group called the Nursing Shortage Commission. And it was composed of nurses in leadership roles and a few others. and they studied the shortage issue. They actually determined that there were several things they needed to do, and they had to find the solutions to issues that impacted nursing. One of those was to create a healthy work environment and improve job satisfaction. Ayla mentioned that nursing is stressful. Folks, I've got news for you, it is. It is one of the most stressful things you can do. However, I think perhaps, being a Christian and in my case, a wife and a mother, that takes priority. But I can never think of any other profession where you get so much back from it. And to hear somebody, especially a patient, say thank you because you were there for them at that moment where they needed you is the best feeling in the world. Another thing that they knew they had to find a solution to was finding funding for nursing students and continuing education needs for nurses. Now, if you're like most nursing programs, probably 85% or 90 of you are on some type of financial assistance. Now, is there anybody here who said they've got more than enough financial assistance? I would have been shocked if a hand had gone up. Another issue is evaluating nursing education programs. Now, that does not mean that programs needed to be evaluated as to their quality. We have regulatory bodies for that and accreditation bodies. But how can we improve the number of spots or seats we have for nursing students? How can we find more clinical facilities for nursing students? How can we find more nursing faculty? And I will tell all of you here, because I'm not going to say if you go on to get higher degrees, but when you go on to get a higher degree, please consider nursing education. It is, again, I found it to be highly rewarding. And there is a shortage of nursing faculty in the country and in the state. Probably the average age of nursing faculty in the country right now is going to be somewhere between 55 to 57 years. And that should tell you something. They're close to retirement. And another thing that we had to find as a solution to was how to form alliances with other groups that can support nursing. I heard AARP mentioned, the legislators. And if you're one of these who said, I don't like politics, don't want any part of it, it's, and unfortunately if you listen to the ads right now on TV, they're not really nice to each other. But when you work with others, you have to be political. I'm not saying you have to be a Democrat or a Republican or whatever, but you have to be political because you have to get along with other people and you have to work together. I've always said marriage is a political game. But anyway, these are the things that this Nursing Commission identified as some problems, and they recommended to the legislators, you need to form a West Virginia Center for Nursing. And part of that legislation needs to be funding to support that group. And in May of 2005, the result was the West Virginia Center for Nursing. Now, legislation mandated that the funding came from the licensure fees of all LPNs and RNs who were licensed in the state of West Virginia. So, my licensure fees, $10 of it comes to the Center for Nursing. Your faculty, other RNs, some of you who said you've got relatives who are nursing, when they pay their licensure fee, $10 comes to the Center for Nursing in order for the center to do its work. Now, one of the goals of the Center for Nursing is to create a better tomorrow for West Virginia nursing professionals. And how do they do that? They're going to do it through informed public policy, increased opportunities to learn, financial support for the education, and another thing we do besides financial support is research and nursing practice development. So we take a real critical look at all that. The legislation also mandated who would be appointed by the governor to serve as board of directors for the Center for Nursing. And I'll just kind of briefly introduce the current board members to you. And the newly elected president is Ron Moore. Ron represents an employer of nursing and he was the director of nursing. And he just recently retired from CAMC where he was the director of nursing. The newly elected vice president's name is Gerald Bragg, and he represents an LPN in direct patient care, and he is employed at Highland Hospital. Our secretary is Frank Mace. Frank is not a nurse. Most boards have to have public or citizen members because they bring a different perspective to issues. And Frank is actually retired as I believe he was a secondary school teacher. Other members are Dr. Cynthia Persley. She represents an employer of nursing, and she is a hospital administrator, and she is a nurse. And she is the current CEO at Highland Hospital. Dr. Pamela Alderman, y'all don't know her, do you? Pam represents associate degree nursing, and I think you all know she's your current dean. Cheryl Basham represents an RN who's employed in direct patient care. It was very important to have folks that are actually involved in direct patient care because nurses at the bedside bring a unique perspective. Greg Kayartis represents the West Virginia Board of Examiners for licensed practical nurses. Dr. Tara Halsey represents BSN programs and graduate programs in the state, and she is the current Dean of the College of Nursing at WVU. I represent the West Virginia Nursing Association on this board, and until my retirement a year ago, I was the Vice President for Schools of Nursing and Health Professions at St. Mary's Medical Center. Leah Salyers is our other public member, and she is employed as a rehab counselor. We have a position that is currently unfilled, and that is for somebody who is employed in rural health. And so we really need somebody there. And then we have two members who are non-voting members, who come from state agencies, Workforce West Virginia and the West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources. Now, I've said several times that we do have strategies to support the education, the recruitment, and the retention of nurses in West Virginia. Some of the things we've done for recruitment efforts, we actually developed and do help with some funding for junior nurse academies. Did any of you attend any of those? Through Thomas? Yeah, Thomas has had one for quite a while. I know CAMC just had one this year, or maybe it was their second one. They had one down in Beckley, so there's various ones throughout the state. And it is actually geared toward students in middle school to introduce them to nursing and help them understand what nursing is and what it is not. We also help to develop a nursing career handbook for those interested in nursing, and that can also be found on the website. Retention efforts means not enough to get nurses into the profession. Once we get them there, we want to keep them there. Some of the things that the center's been instrumental in helping is with the nurse residency program. And there are several hospitals in the state that's had that. And this is where when a new person actually is hired as a graduate nurse, they tend to be paired. And we've always used preceptors, but this is even more supported to help that person really become oriented and engaged as a practicing nurse. We've done research. I know that it was mentioned that there's data out there for reports. The center has actually developed and distributed surveys a couple times to nursing faculty throughout the state. We've sent those surveys also to hospitals trying to find out where the shortages are. If they've got shortages, which areas of the hospital do they have issues in meeting those needs? Public health departments, long-term care facilities. So there's always something going on as far as data collection. Educational efforts. You all know that your program works with a group of other schools of nursing that use facilities in the Charleston area for clinical experiences. And it's called a clinical scheduling program. And one of the real problems with a lot of schools of nursing across the state are finding enough clinical sites so that students can actually get adequate experience that is quality and where you can achieve the learning outcomes that are stated for that experience. And so the clinical scheduling program has been very beneficial for that. Big thing we do, and somebody mentioned scholarships. One of the things that the legislature did when it created the Center for Nursing, it also stated that the majority of the money that came in to the center had to be spent on scholarships for students. A few weeks ago, the board approved, and it's actually those notices should have gone out. Maybe some of you may have gotten a scholarship. We gave money to 286 recipients in the state of West Virginia, and that total was $469,250. Now, again, legislation mandates the amount that we can give up to but not exceed. An LPN student, we can award up to $3,000. I can tell you this past year, we had the highest number of people who applied that we've had in the history. We were not able to give everybody the maximum amount, but what they tried to do is we looked at things and tried to at least help in any way we could. A student in an RN program can be awarded up to $7,500 a year. Now, for those of you who I hope want to go on to become nurse educators, for master's and doctoral degrees, we can award up to $15,000 a year. Now, in exchange for all of this, what do you have to do? When you get that money, you have to sign that you will stay in the state of West Virginia, or if case of doctorates or master's degrees, you will teach at a West Virginia school for 2 years for every year of award you received. You also have to be at least halfway through your nursing program in order to qualify for a scholarship. And I'll tell you, quite frankly, the reason we did that is that we know that sometimes when you lose students because of academic or they decide they really don't like nursing, it's usually the first semester or first two semesters. So we wanted to make sure as good stewards of the money that came to the center that we gave it to people who we thought would be successful. I think up there I do have where we are currently located. It's in the HEPC building, Higher Education Policy Commission meeting. Our phone number is there and our website. And the website will give you lots of information about scholarships. The next enrollment or application period for scholarships will be April the 1st. And go to that website. We'd be glad to, consider things. If you have questions, you can call. Or if you really want to go see Dr. Alderman's office, go talk to her. Yes. You got money for this year? If you want it for next fall, yes.
Okay, so April is the application for fall.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Did you all hear her question? She wanted to know if she wants to apply for another award scholarship, and she's already gotten one. Can she? Yes, she can. And the money that was awarded this time is for this academic year. But you can certainly apply in April for next fall, the next academic year, which will be what, 1920. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead. Oh, that's the case, we say it's okay to double dip. Okay? No, it's not added on. She has a scholarship also from CAMC where she is required to stay there for a certain time period. And she doesn't have to do her 3 years there, then an additional 2 years for the center. We do allow you a life. Okay? Any other questions? And I will say stress enough the importance of belonging to your professional organization. And this is not original with me, I wish I could claim, but I once heard, actually it was the American Nursing Association president, and she now works for another national nursing group, is that when you graduate, there are 3 things you need to remember when you start drawing that paycheck. Of course, we want you to remember to belong to your professional association, and that is, for you, the American Nursing Association, your specialty group, whatever that is, and remember the school that helped you get there. Okay? Congratulations and good luck.
We have time for one more guest speaker before we do a little break. So right now, we're going to let Julie Huron. She is the Executive Director of the West Virginia Nurses Association that Sheila spoke a little bit about. And we're going to let her talk to you about the association, maybe how you can become a student member and get involved at this level so that when you're a registered nurse, you can continue your involvement in West Virginia. Julie.
Good morning. So I'm probably the only non-nurse in the room. And where I'm going to be coming to you from is actually my professional background. I'm actually, my major was healthcare administration, and I'm a licensed nursing home administrator. But with those skill sets, my background, if anyone in the room knows anyone that's had a baby, or family members, whatever, my background came from, I was a certified doula. I don't know if you know what that is, if you've seen it, heard of it. That's where my background is and was, and I worked in the Huntington, Charleston, and Ashland, Kentucky area for many years, helping people have babies. That's been the demographic that I came from. Non-clinical, you do the emotional, physical support, and you feed your clients information, help them make the best decisions so they have informed consent and sometimes informed refusal. And you're going to encounter that in your nursing career. And that's okay, because people do have those rights. So my next stretch of the way, I went to work for a hospice when I got my degree. And I worked in volunteer management and also in nursing home compliance. So that's my background. Recently, my mother had a really traumatic diagnosis, and I saw a different perspective on healthcare. And I actually, on the oncology board at St. Mary's, saw a nurse who was one of the most compassionate people I've ever seen. She still wears her nursing cap. I'm telling you. When I walked on the floor that night and I walked in and I was like, she still has her cap on. This woman, even when my mother was not her patient, she came back in to check on my mom. She was able to give us more information than these nurses that were floating and that were being pulled. And from the Nurses Association perspective, I hear from that. Nurses want to work. I mean, it's okay to help fill in, but when you are filling in all the time, when you're pulled from over here to go over to oncology, to go over here, to go to ER, that's difficult. So file that away. That's why I'm here. That's why I have the job that I have. I'm one of the biggest patient advocates you'll probably ever see, but I'm also one of the strongest professional nursing advocates that you'll see. So in your freshman class, in your nursing class, because I don't think everyone here are freshmen, is that correct? Okay, so you found your group, you found your core people. This is your network, these are your besties. You found who you probably don't ever want to work with. However, knowing who your people are at school, then on at work, then on throughout the state. Before I came on board with WVNA, which was the end of October last year, I did not know, really, I didn't know Dr. Alderman, I didn't know Dr. Bruce, I didn't know Dr. Kyle. I knew Ayla a little bit, so I knew a few people, but as I've gotten together, we have conference calls every month. Most of all of these people, which you've seen, their pictures in multiple slides in multiple organizations. As you grow in your profession, you're going to have this network. And this is how you get new jobs, different jobs, nominations, awards, and you either move up or you mentor. So remember that. Be a team player. If you've ever played on a sport in high school, or if you were involved on any kind of a team, debate team, anything like that. And even if politics is not your game, you need to be aware. We have one nurse in the West Virginia legislature. That's Delegate Amy Summers. She is our go-to. She is our biggest advocate for nursing. So as you are going about your duties of being a student, as you go on and graduate, as you get your nursing license, as you go on and keep your job, do your job, moving forward initially, we're still doing your work for you. We're still making sure that you are able to practice under what the legislature has mandated for you to practice. And when you become a member, you're going to see a call to action. Those are initially all that I ever try to ask you to do. I'll give you a phone number for who your person is, and if you can make a call like, hey, you need to vote no, this is bad for people, it's bad for patients, it's bad for nurses. Those are all that we really expect from you until you really want to get involved. And when you really want to get involved, call me. So if you don't care to go ahead and run this. So what you're going to see right here, it's with ANA, it's with WVNA. There is a free digital, have any of you all seen this yet? Because I have distributed it to numerous nursing programs. And I believe that if you haven't seen it, you will be seeing it. It's called A Welcome to the Profession. It's distributed by ANA, which is our national association, and that's my parent organization. So you have the ANA, and in your state you have WVNA. So the Welcome to the Profession kit, it's a digital kit. It gets you into the ANA database. You'll be able to access different journals, things like that. And also once you do that, periodically through the month, I go in, I download my student list, and then I put that in my email list. So you're going to get a taste of what we do as an association. It kind of gets you some exposure. It's not too much, but it's just a little bit of this is what's going on. If anyone followed the legislature last year in West Virginia, did any of you all kind of watch that? Did you see the whole AMAP thing where they were trying to allow a medication aid to distribute medicine in nursing homes? I see lots of people doing this. We made lots of calls. You all may have made calls. And it took the governor vetoing that. And we don't really understand why, how it got that far, but we did a lot of call to actions. We had a lot of things on Facebook. So there is definitely a rule to what we're doing, and we are definitely working for the nurses. I work for you. I work for them. So on to, hold on, let me keep this right. All of that, just what I explained. WVNA, ANA, we're all together. We're team players. I've been to DC a couple of times. It's a huge organization. I was pretty floored when I went up there. When I went for the membership assembly in June, what I learned from that is we made appointments with our congressman. I had a PAC chairperson who actually called a legislative liaison out because he wasn't paying attention to us. He was kind of doodling and looking around, and he was pretty worn out because he had gotten a lot of calls about the children this summer. So Joyce definitely called him out, and he said, I'm paying attention. And she said, well, you need to write this down because what we're here to tell you is important. And so the ANA definitely, they are our guiding features, and you're going to see the gold standard membership. Once you become a WVNA member, an ANA member, the fee of it is $24.50 a month after you're licensed. So while you're a student, you're pre-licensed, there is no fee. There's no reason to not do it. You're going to have access to a lot of different information. You may even need to get into those journals for research, just to get different perspectives. And if you have any kind of they have a policy class? Yeah. When you get into a policy class last year, especially during the legislative session, call me. I had numerous people last year calling me, and they were just trying to get more information data so that they could speak knowledgeably when they wrote papers. So I'm always, you can call me, you can email me. You can go ahead and get the slide. Yeah, so right here, if you do anything today, you can whip out your phone. It's not on this slide. It's on the next slide. No, go back, I guess it was right there. The Nursing World website right here, if you want to either take a picture or write that down. You'll probably get an email from your school that's going to tell you to get that Welcome to the Profession digital kit. This is the website that you're going to do. It's the Nursing World website. Our website, it's WVNA. I'm used to having it all here. West Virginia Nurses is Google West Virginia Nurses Association. Everything is right here. We have an active Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm not well versed in Snapchat. It never worked for me. So if you're trying to we had a lot of interaction on Facebook last year. I've had nurses reaching out to me just about regular conditions, whether or not they were being pulled everywhere. They would send a Facebook message, but you can pull up our website. I'm Julie. I am the only employee. If you email me at the central office, email, I'm the one you're going to get. And you can always ask Dr. Alderman how to reach out to me too, and Dr. Bruce. So does anyone have questions at all? Nurses Day will be in February. The majority of university, has anyone attended Nurses Day? So last year we had Jan Rader, West Virginia's first female fire chief. She was our keynote speaker. She's also a nurse. We don't know exactly the full realm for next year, but it will be definitely different than what you've experienced in the past, and hopefully it will be better. So thank you.
Now we're going to let you all have a little bit of a break so that you can get up and stretch, and there's some more refreshments in the back. And we will reconvene about 15 till, so 10:45.